Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We cover all kinds of topics on this show, but today's is something that hits pretty close to home for, I think, a lot of us. We're diving into the world of therapy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, therapy is one of those things everyone's heard of, but there are still so many misconceptions floating around about what it actually is and who it's really for.
Right, exactly. So to help us unpack all of that, we're taking a deep dive into this really insightful discussion from DeepDive Minds. The hosts, Zaavi and Alina, they got into some of the reasons why so many people, maybe even us at times, hesitate to even consider therapy.
And sometimes those hesitations, they might be holding us back from some serious personal growth and well-being.
Okay, so right off the bat, Zavi and Alina, they brought up this big one. The idea that therapy is like a last resort, that
Mhm.
it's only for when things are absolutely terrible. Like the only time you'd even think about it is if you're, in full-blown crisis.
It's like that 911 call, right? Only when everything's gone completely haywire.
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting is they pointed out that this whole last resort thing, it actually kind of misses the point of what therapy can be.
Mm.
Because when you think about it, we don't wait till we're like deathly ill to go to the
Yeah,
doctor.
right. We get checkups, we try to stay healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do preventative care for our physical health all the time. And there's a growing body of research that suggests that, early intervention for mental well-being, it can have some seriously positive long-term effects.
So thinking about therapy as only for emergencies, it's kind of like waiting for your teeth to rot before you even think about brushing them. You're missing out on all that preventative care that could help you stay mentally fit.
Totally. And it's like anything else, right? The more you invest in maintaining something,
Yeah.
the less likely it is to completely fall apart down the line.
Exactly.
Okay, so another huge myth they tackled, and I think this one's a real doozy, is the idea that if you need therapy, well, it means there's something wrong with you,
Oh, yeah, that you're somehow broken.
like you're damaged goods.
Right. And I think part of that comes from this pressure to always appear strong, to handle everything on our own. There's almost like a shame attached to admitting you need help.
But it's interesting. What Zavi and Alina highlighted is that therapy isn't really about fixing something that's inherently wrong with you.
It's more about like understanding yourself better.
Yeah, your emotions, your thought patterns. It's about developing healthier ways to cope with all the curveballs life throws at you.
Hmm. So it's more like growth than repair.
Absolutely. And that resonates so much, especially for our listeners, because let's be honest, personal development is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And, therapy can be like having this experienced guide, this toolkit to help you navigate that journey wherever you are on it. It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
I like that. A toolkit.
And this actually brings us to another big point they made, which is kind of related.
Mm.
It's this assumption that if you're quote unquote normal, then you don't need therapy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one. It's like there's this imaginary line between normal and needing help. And if you're on the normal side, you should be able to handle everything life throws at you.
But Alina was really great about challenging that. She pointed out that therapy isn't just for, those big life-altering traumas or serious mental health conditions.
It can be really valuable for anyone dealing with those everyday struggles.
Totally. I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. Stress at work, relationship problems, that feeling of just being stuck in a rut. These are things that almost everyone experiences at some point in their lives.
And let's face it, sometimes just having that safe, non-judgmental space to talk things through and get a fresh perspective, it can make a huge difference.
It can. And, it can be helpful to have someone who can help you see those patterns in your thinking or behavior that you might not even be aware of.
Oh yeah, those blind spots we all have.
Exactly.
Mm.
And then Zavi and Alina, they also took on this classic stereotype, the one we all picture someone lying on a couch talking about their childhood for years on end.
The stereotypical image of therapy, right?
Exactly. And you know what? It's just not that simple anymore.
Thankfully, therapy has come a long way.
It really has. There are so many different approaches and techniques now, and they're not all about digging into the distant past.
Some of them are actually very focused on developing practical strategies for dealing with present and future challenges.
Right. Like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which can help you identify and change those negative thought patterns that might be holding you back.
And then there are mindfulness-based therapies, which can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings in the present moment.
And they talked about how therapy can even help you learn concrete skills, like how to communicate more assertively in your relationships,
Oh, that's a good one.
how to set healthy boundaries, manage stress, all these things that are super applicable to everyday life.
And those skills, they can be game changers.
They really can. And you don't necessarily need to spend years dissecting your childhood to learn them.
Right.
So I think another one of the biggest things that holds people back from therapy is this fear of judgment.
It's like this underlying belief that needing help is a sign of weakness. That you should just be able to, tough it out on your own.
Which, by the way, is so not true.
Not at all. In fact, both Zaavi and Alina were very clear about this. Reaching out for support when you're struggling, it's not a sign of weakness. It actually takes a lot of courage and self-awareness.
You're taking responsibility for your well-being, just like you would with your physical health.
I like to think of it as a form of self-respect.
That's a great way to put it.
You're respecting yourself enough to say, hey, I deserve to feel better. I deserve support.
And it's an investment, right?
Yeah, an investment in yourself, in your future.
So another crucial point they made, and this one's about managing expectations, is that therapy, it's not a quick fix.
It's not like taking an aspirin for a headache. It takes time, it takes work, it takes commitment.
It's a process of exploration, self-discovery.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be challenging. You might have to confront some uncomfortable truths about yourself or your past.
And progress isn't always linear. There might be setbacks, steps forward, and then maybe a step back.
But the key takeaway here, and they were both really passionate about this, is that the long-term benefits of therapy, they can be so profound.
It's not just about feeling a little better in the short term. It's about creating lasting, positive change in your life.
Yeah. It can lead to healthier relationships, improved resilience to stress, a greater sense of well-being and balance overall.
And, it can even have a positive impact on your physical health.
Absolutely.
To make this whole discussion, more relatable, both Zaavi and Alina, they shared some of their own experiences with therapy.
Which I thought was really brave of them.
Yeah, it makes it feel so much more real and approachable.
Zaavi, he talked about how valuable it was for him to have that objective perspective from someone outside of his usual circle.
It's like having someone who can see the forest for the trees.
Right. When you're so caught up in your own thoughts and feelings, it can be really hard to see things clearly.
You need that outside perspective to gain some clarity.
Absolutely. And Alina, she talked about how therapy helped her develop those practical tools. She called it like a roadmap for her own mind.
So interesting.
She actually learned specific techniques for managing her anxiety and improving her communication skills.
So it's not just talking, right? It's about learning and implementing real strategies to improve your mental well-being.
Exactly. And, I think their personal stories, they really help to normalize therapy. They make it feel less like this scary, mysterious thing and more like something that everyday people can benefit from.
Absolutely. And at the end of their discussion, they had this really encouraging message for anyone who might be on the fence about trying therapy.
They acknowledge that it's totally normal to feel nervous or hesitant. Just the fact that you're considering it, that's already a step in the right direction.
It means you're open to the possibility of growth, right?
Exactly. And they emphasize this really important point. Everyone deserves to have that dedicated space to work on their mental health.
It's not just for a certain type of person or a specific level of crisis.
Therapy is for anyone who wants to feel better, who wants to grow, who wants to understand themselves better.
So to sum up that core message from Zaavi and Alina, therapy, it's not just for the broken, it's for the brave.
It's for those who are willing to prioritize their mental well-being and take that courageous step towards self-discovery and growth.
Love that.
So the key takeaway for you, our listener, from this deep dive is that therapy is a valuable resource that's available to everyone.
No matter where you are in your journey.
It's not about admitting defeat or labeling yourself. It's about investing in your overall health and well-being. It's about choosing yourself and choosing to grow.
It really is. And so to leave you with a final thought, think about those areas of your life where having that dedicated, confidential space for reflection and exploration, where that might be beneficial for you.
What possibilities could open up if you allowed yourself that space to grow and evolve? Maybe, just maybe, exploring therapy could be the key to unlocking a whole new level of self-understanding and well-being.
Something to think about.
Until next time.
See you then.